What I also, as I was saying before, said it a few times, but I wanted to kind of pull it into one slide for you, is that I try my best to create that normalized set of data fields. So again, going back to the data requests document that we had before, kind of coming up with what are those data fields that I want to get from a particular system. And once I've gotten those fields, to get those fields from the system, kind of name those fields in ACL, but it could either be in this like cleansed kind of format, or could be combined with something like you might get out of SAP, VIN number and site, or etc., where it kind of gives you both flavors. I will tell you, I tend to kind of go to the final domain in getting supplier number. Usually is the way, the format that I'm using. I'm going to the ultimate format as opposed to kind of keeping these other formats. But I do save this info kind of in a document so that I can always go back to it. But it's very rare that people care where it came from. So it's something where if they know that that's invoice number, that's all they really care about. Another thing, starting everything as ASCII is an approach, and I was showing you how you could save files in a text format, and to one of the questions that came in, is it easier to save things as Excel files and then edit and put it into ACL? I would say yes there, and also as I showed in Edit Pad Pro or any sort of editor, text editor, not Notepad. I find Notepad is not that good, but Edit Pad Pro, Notepad++. There are free ones. There are some that you got to pay some money for. So it's hopefully between one of those, you can find something. So another thing is to kind of create a script, and wanted to kind of show you what you might be able to do from a scripting point of view. This gives you an example. And I really wanted to kind of keep it in this documented form because this wasn't a scripting class, but at the same time did want to give you some ideas of what the script would look like. And here's some good examples where we're opening up the PO vendor site file. We're kind of taking from our mapping up here that we did in Word, where we have the final field names. We're kind of creating that concatenated field name, PO vendor sites, and active data as an example. And it's the language that you use is define field, put the field name, computed, and then have the function after it. So we were working a lot today in this edit table layout editor, and that's kind of as we added new expressions, and that's literally called define field. And all this is a rendition of that, but in the code. So that's how you would write that in scripting. Version 9.2 for ACL does do a better job at putting that into the log. So for those that are upgrading, that is kind of a useful upgrade. So one of the other things that I like to suggest doing is to take a look at making not only the automated data normalization, which I've kind of talked through in the last couple of slides, in that you would get more of like a fixed length file or create that fixed length file using that sub function where you would create fields that are exactly the same length every time, call them a certain name, etc. But then, once you've done that process, so next year comes around, you get the same files as last year. It runs through its processing and automates that normalization. But then what you want to do is write a validation script. So, real just quickly here, some of the things that I won't do all these things, but some of the things that you can do is, and let me just do this properly here. I mean, I could save this log, and I will. I can save or create a new session, though, that people can work with. We'll call this, validation script. And into that new session, I can, I can close this file and then open the file. and do things like run statistics, be it on the check amount calc or check amount or discount or enter date. And again, if things are named the same thing every time, it helps. I like when I run statistics to actually put 10 in there because I think it gives me a little bit better of a range. It's a top 10 thing. I think you get a lot more out of 10 than 5, double. So check amount calc, obviously we have that. Statistics that we run. After you run statistics, you could stratify. What's nice about doing statistics first is the minimum and maximum are written into the actual screen here, and we can just add a few items here, etc. So just to kind of conclude, maybe I'll last but not least run a duplicates test. Again, just running through these real quickly. On check number, vendor number. I'll do it in here. It's a little bit easier in this particular one. I'll sort by name just to make it a little easier. Invoice date, invoice number, and from a field listing point of view, we'll list everything, and we'll list it in kind of order the way we expect it to, and do it to a file called dupes. So not trying to make you a pro at all of these different commands, but really just trying to show you if you do walk through those commands, you can easily, and I've saved it to this validation script, you can actually select that entire item. Or you can select certain items like, I don't want to do statistics, but I do want to do stratify. I can then save selected items to a script. I can call this validation test. And that script now is available for me to run. So, now this is a script that you can actually run this after you've done that automated data validation type work